Greetings, traveler. I'm SnapJelly, and if you weren't aware, people who donate $10 or more on my Patreon account get as a special reward that they get to choose a topic for a video. And this topic comes from 4C Maiden, who asks if I can review the fight between Oberyn Martell and the Mountain. Now, I said I was gonna do this a long time ago, but I kind of forgot about it and never did it. But now I got this request, so here it is. If you don't know who I am, I'm SnapJelly. I practice historical European martial arts, I do reenactment, and I do stage fight choreography as well, both on stage and on film. And I spend a lot of time here on YouTube talking about combat as it is portrayed in movies. Now, if you want to skip to the review part of this video, you can go to this time right here. But before we start, there are some things that I want to mention. Most fights in Game of Thrones are really slow. This one is not so bad. There is a speed difference between Oberyn and the Mountain, and usually when this happens on TV, I kinda bash it quite a bit because that's not how real fighting works, and I usually don't like it very much. But in this case, it's not that bad, and I actually think they utilized it really well. Now, there is a large technique difference. Like, they make it very obvious that the Knights of Westeros are very strong and use bulky slashes, and Oberyn, the Dornishman, he's very quick and acrobatic and does flips and kicks, and, well, is that effective? Not really, and it's usually also not necessary, but if the timing is right, I don't really have a problem with it. And in this fight, that is usually the case, in my opinion. I think this is easily the best fight in Game of Thrones, no doubt about it. I think it's very smart for Oberyn to use a spear. He says that it is to counter the Mountain's range, and that's true. It's very smart, very simple. Spears are very underused on TV and Game of Thrones, so I like that a lot. They really utilize armor well in this fight. It happens a lot that armor actually does something, and that is pretty rare on TV, so that's a good thing as well. And lastly, what I want to mention is the Mountain uses his left hand for sword. Now, I don't know if this is a character thing or an actor thing. I don't know if the actor is left-handed or the character is supposed to be left-handed. Either way, though, it doesn't really matter. They don't put emphasis on it during the fight. But what I do want to mention is he uses one hand and just one hand, and his other hand is just kind of dangling there. Now, it doesn't have to be a problem, but what I would mention is that even if you can swing your sword with one hand, if it's that long and you're not going to do anything with your other hand, you might as well use two on your sword. Like, I can easily swing this sword around with one hand. It's not too heavy for me to do that. But if I'm not going to do anything with my left, I might as well use two. You know, it's not that difficult to just let go of the pommel and start grappling. Actually, that happens a lot in longsword fighting. Now, I believe his sword is a great sword. For his size, it might be a longsword. Either way, if you use two hands on your sword, and you get close, you get in a bind, you can still grab, let go of your sword, grab your opponent with your left hand, and then stab or slash with one hand if that is necessary. But if your other hand is just going to be dangling there, you might as well, use two. And it also happens sometimes that Oberyn and the Mountain get in a bind, and Oberyn is right there within grappling range, but Gregor doesn't do anything. So that happens occasionally, and I just kind of glanced over it for this. I didn't mention it because, well, it would end the fight pretty quickly, so I understand from a choreography point of view that they didn't do that. But I also understand that in the books, the Mountain carries a shield. Now, considering the amount of armor that he wears, he wouldn't need a shield, but it would make sense if he had a little buckler or something, then that would be a good excuse for him to not grapple. So I would say that if he carried like a small wooden shield or something like that, that would have made more sense. Either way, that being said, let's jump right into the review. So Oberyn starts with a flourish. There's nothing really wrong with that. Just a bit of showing off.
Have they told you who I am?
Some dead man.
An out-of-reach vertical strike that hits the ground. An out-of-reach thrust, followed by a parry of an out-of-reach spear cut.
I am the brother of Oberyn Martell. And do you know why I've come all the way to this stinking shit pile of a city? For you?
It's difficult to see clearly because of how they filmed it, but it honestly seems like Oberyn actually feints here, like holding back a strike and quickly striking in another spot, hitting Gregor in the chin, which is blocked by his bever.
I'm going to hear you confess before you die. You raped my sister. You murdered her. You killed her children. Say it now and we can make this quick.
A little exchange here that honestly looks really good. I don't really see anything wrong with it, except for maybe the timing is a little bit off if you want to get really nitpicky and look at every strike individually. But overall, I'm alright with it. And Oberyn knocks Gregor's helmet off. Now, I'm not sure if this would actually work in a real fight, but I like it. I mean, you can't cut through somebody's armor. You gotta go around it, so taking off your opponent's helmet one way or another is a way to create an opening to attack. I would say though that most helmets, because of this, have a strap that goes around the chin to prevent it from falling off, but I guess Gregor's helmet doesn't have that.
Say it.
This strike was very missed though. I mean, look closely. Oberyn doesn't move, so he doesn't evade the attack, and the ding sound from when the weapons connect happens after the sword is already past him, so he didn't deflect it either.
You murdered her! You killed her children.
Beautiful exchange, I gotta say. The jumping, I understand the first one, it's not necessary, but it's kind of Oberyn's style, I guess. The second one is just turning your back on your opponent without any benefit. I mean, you could say that he's trying to create distance, but you can create distance by simply stepping back while keeping your eyes on your opponent. So that would be a lot smarter.
You raped her! You murdered her! You killed her children!
This is actually very smart. Gregor doesn't seem to be wearing any armor on his legs, so quick little jabs like that to the legs are very annoying and difficult to deal with. And here is another great moment. Oberyn stabs, but he gets stuck on Gregor's armor. Gregor smacks the spear away with his right hand and kicks. Now he could have technically ended the fight here if he grabbed the spear instead of smack it away and stabbed instead of kick. But, you know, small details, like they wanted the fight to prolong a little bit longer, I understand. It's still a great moment though. Yeah, this would never happen in real life. I mean, I guess it depends on what the spear is made out of. If it's made out of balsa wood, then yes. But spears break way too easily on TV. If you use a spear, it is essential to your survival that the spear doesn't break. So you use the hardest kind of wood with the most flexibility. Yes, flexibility, because if your wood that you use for your spear is flexible, then this kind of stuff doesn't happen. Like, the spear is now restricted, it has plenty of space to go down. Even if you would whack this with an axe, then what's gonna happen is the spear is just gonna go down and vibrate. That's why you need the wood of your spear to be flexible. Because then if it's hit by a sword, or an axe or whatever, it would technically dig in a little bit, but the spear would just vibrate and that's gonna absorb the shock so it doesn't break. From a choreography standpoint, I understand that they did it because it creates tension and stuff like that. But, yeah, a spear would never break like that. A good spear, at least, wouldn't. And why doesn't Gregor press the attack when his opponent is unarmed? Is it against the rules? Does he care about the rules? Or is he just enjoying himself? I mean, he seems to be having quite a hard time, so... And it is to the death. I don't know. Beautiful.
You raped her! You murdered her! You killed her children!
Alright, now I can't tell if he got stabbed through the chest plate or underneath it somehow. Like, it kind of seems like his armor is lifted up one way or another, so maybe he got stabbed in between the armor, because they got the armor right for the most of this fight, so it would seem very weird to stab him through the chest plate right at the very end. I don't really think that fits. So I think that one way or another he, like, evaded the armor. Anyway, I don't really think I need to show the rest. We all know what happens. There's nothing wrong with it. Oberyn was an idiot. End of story. So that was it, guys. If you stuck around this long, you might as well subscribe, and don't forget to like this video if you liked it. Also, if you want to choose a topic for yourself, then you can. Link to my Patreon is in the description below, and thank you for joining my quest, and I hope you'll join me in the next one. Bye, guys.